Blessings and greetings and blessings, blessed souls. We're alive because we're blessed to stay alive in this most mundane of humane moments, paradoxically configured to an existential experience which can actually configure to eternality. We're now in part 4 of Now is the Time to Rejoice. This is originally a series that I started on Facebook, but I figured since I finally figured out with my semi-primitive understanding of how to work with the YouTube Live video cam option, that I can go into my kitchen, as you see. Well, you can see at least part of the kitchen. And continue in this series. We've been talking about this whole idea of rejoicing. Rejoicing is a matter of connecting to left brain consciousness, simcha. The more deeper form of simcha is chedva, so to speak, peeling away the exterior expression in our thought, speech, and action, being happy based on our comprehension, and going to an inner point where does that inner dimension of joy, or what is that inner dimension of joy connecting to? In contrast, we have this whole idea of wisdom, chokhmah, which is not an inyan of simcha, but actually a perception of profundity. And by the way, I have to mention parenthetically, we're drawing inspirations from a Hasidic discourse that was delivered by the fifth Lubavitch Rebbe, Reb Shalom Dov Ber of Lubavitch, who lived from, I believe, 1860 till he went to the next level of life in 1920. And the time of the occasion he was delivering this Hasidic discourse, or that I'm extracting inspirations from, was to celebrate the wedding of his Ben Yachid, his only son, Rebbe Yosef Yitzhak Schneerson of Lubavitch, otherwise known as the Rebbe Rayatz, the Frierdiker Rebbe. So on the other hand, wisdom doesn't have a perception of profundity, does not have a direct correlation or connection to joy, but it can be a source of causation for joy, since that the perception of something profound is something that where you are connecting to something beyond your comprehension at any point in time. But the comprehension and basic understanding can come with the effort to try to include that perception in letters of understanding. For the power of wisdom is the beginning of the revelation of the light of intellect. Now, the light of intellect. Have you ever heard someone say, I see what you're saying? Or another person say, I understand what you're saying? Of course, they're meaning more than just I can hear the words that you're saying, meaning they are comprehending the implications of whatever words you've strung together. This whole idea of the beginning of the revelation of the light of intellect starts out as a very terse, dense, what we call a nakuda klolit, a point, a seminal point of perception. Yet this seminal point of perception is still not absorbed and grasped within the inner dimension of cognitive perceptions. The inner dimension and the grasping and the absorption of intellectual perception is something which allows us to use our left brain thinking to codify what we're perceiving at a very profound level. For the idea of the or of seichel, the light of intellect, kind of hover over us. We've seen all the proverbial light bulb going over the cartoon character's head, the eureka, the flash of lightning, that flash of intuition, intuitive reasoning, that flash of cognitive perception. But a flash, an intuitive insight, what kind of like hovers overhead, literally more or less is hovering over our revealed right brain and revealed left brain oscillating consciousness, coming from a place called our superconsciousness, which modern psychology might be more inclined to call subconscious, coming from a place called koach hamaskil. It's not settled. So if something flies by us, a perception of something which is profound, we say, wow, never thought of it that way. Already something's been activated in the garment of our thought process of how to make, so to speak, a conduit that it should be absorbed directly into our right brain consciousness, perception of that profundity, but yet, so to speak, in a general sense, being devoid of osios, of elucidation, and therefore, so to speak, the left brain turns within its own unique cognitive functioning processes to grasp what the right brain has captured. And there is a process of unraveling the particularities of why that thing seems to be so profound. Once you see a beautiful painting, what is it that captures for you a grasping of the profundity of this painting? Is it the fancy frame that surrounds the painting? It is the contrast of the colors within the painting, or lack of contrast of colors in the painting? Is it how the lines develop, going from, so to speak, in one painting you can have a change of scenery or an ascension from one level of development as the artist is trying to portray, so to speak, say like a timeline of, say, like a baby born, and then a toddler, and then young child crawling, and then a child playing baseball, and a child carrying books to school, and a high school student, and a person earning their college degree, and then at the wedding canopy, and then raising children and getting bald and getting a little punch around the midsection, and then as grandparents, and then finally being escorted by their children and grandchildren, hopefully great grandchildren, to the next level of life. All in one painting. Why would that strike within a human being a sense of profundity? Well, you'd have to ask that person who had that. I'm just giving it as an allegory. But the whole idea that there's a specific linear, sometimes exponential jump in the presentation of those particularities. But it all starts from a seminal, dense, terse flash of or of seichel within that artist's talent. We'll end off that when there is this illumination of the light of intellect, there is not a complete revelation to our sense of revealed consciousness. So we shouldn't feel frustrated. Actually, we should feel encouraged that we're experiencing such a wonderful human experience, flashing something profound in the middle of our day, when talking with a friend. How about when walking a person across the street, doing an act of kindness, doing an act of charity? Just sitting down and having a meal with your loved ones or friends or co-workers, and making the moment feel like it's more than just a physical act, and we're more than just animals, because we are human beings, or beings that are actually trying to humanize and elevate our every moment. So this is why this series called It's Time to Rejoice. No linear presentation or life coaching of how to be rejoicing, but rather to take us into the realm of Hasidic thought and instructions, how we don't have to be so linear in our approach to upgrading, elevating our sense of personal joy within ourselves. When we be successful in our efforts, all of our efforts around the world, all 7.6 billion plus human beings, all blessed and never be disappointed to come to the realization they've been anointed with a Tzelem Elokim, which is no dream. And may we all continue in our travels today and into the future in a way of Ahava Chad, one love, Gorel Echad, one destiny, Kolan, for all of us, but Darchi Noam, Darchi Shalom, in a pleasant, peaceful fashion. Lahamshik, Zim Yisbrek, continue with the helping and blessing of the Most High. And it's my duty and my responsibility to remind all of you, and to remind myself as well, I've got to be good, you've got to be good, we've all got to be good, because Ateva Tov, the Haiti smile.